And I wish that I would have had somebody talk to me that you all and say like, hey, open yourself, make yourself open and available to these friendships, because, sisterhood to me is just so important.
Yes, those were some great examples of sisterhood, which is very important. Okay, so we'll go to our next question is, and I'll start with you, Hannah. Um, why did you choose the profession that you're in? Like, what made you choose that profession?
So I feel like my profession chose me. And I think a lot of people, when they find that calling, like that's what it feels like, right? It's just like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. So for me, when I got to UCLA as a freshman, I was very homesick for Oakland. Let me tell you, I was like Oakland girl, like no makeup, sneakers, jeans. All the girls in LA were like tan and blonde and had like juicy couture sweatsuits. This was a long time ago. Everybody would come back around, but this was like the first time. And I was like, I don't belong here. And I started watching a ton of sports, and that became like my homesick place. Um, and from there, I became the first woman to cover football for the UCLA Daily Bruin, which is a student paper there. And that's where I kind of found my people. Like you just find your niche sometimes where you're like, oh, this is where I belong. This is what I want to do. I love the competition of it. I love the study of people. And from there, I just really never looked back. And so that was a long time ago, but it took me to the NFL Players Association, to the league office, to the Oakland Raiders, to working at a sports agency, and ultimately for the last 10 seasons, the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, thank you, thank you. And I'll move over to Ayana. Same question.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Hannah. And Hannah, I've never met you before. I went to UCLA too, and I felt the same sense of just like, okay, I'm an Oakland girl. This LA thing really doesn't work for me. But just finding my niche. And one of the reasons why I chose UCLA for undergrad was because I love sports, and it was a D1 school. Like I didn't play sports, I was a cheerleader, and so I was like, this is the closest thing it's going to be to actually outside of suiting up and being on a team, was to go to a school that had that level of camaraderie that wasn't too far from Oakland. And I never thought that I was going to work in sports. I think I have a different trajectory into it. Like, I know Miss McGee and many other folks on this call because I used to work for the Oakland Unified School District, and I worked for the Oakland mayor before, and was just connected to just some amazing youth and folks doing incredible work. And when the call came to join the Warriors, it just felt like the right move to do. And I think that the great thing about working in sports is it has a platform, and a lot of the players that we work with have a platform to really make change in our local and global communities. And I think that's something that I don't take lightly. And I wasn't necessarily aware of that kind of pandemonium until I started working for the Warriors. But what I see our players do and other players in different leagues is incredible, and able to move messages, especially we've seen around the Black Lives Matter protests, and how they were really, the WNBA, much credit to the WNBA for starting the conversation, but the other leagues have soon followed. And so it's just where God has placed me at this time. So really excited to be able to do that.
Great, thank you. And Stephanie, same question.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people who are tall, I'm 5'10", and not athletically inclined, like no dribble, the volleyball, the shorts are too short. It was too much. So in high school, I determined, oh, I want to do sports, but I'm gonna be an athletic trainer. I love science, love physio. So I'd volunteer with them. When I got to college, I went in undeclared, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do this athletic training thing. When I realized that I was a little too personal with the athletes, like I'm a key in the training room when I'm supposed to be rapping players, I realized like, you know what, this may not necessarily be my calling. And then with the D in organic chemistry too, because there's a lot of science with physical therapy guys or athletic training. So, I realized that also I'm like this, I can't do this. When I was an undergrad, I joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which is um, a Black sorority that does a lot of service, that really gives back to their community. And that's where I found my passion for philanthropy. Probably like a lot of youth, you only realize what is sports when you see what's on the field, what's on the ice, what's on the court, not realizing there's a whole infrastructure behind them that supports them. So when I graduated, I started looking a little bit more into it, and I came across community relations. Like, wow, that's really cool. I get to still be in sports and help the community at the same time. So that's kind of how I fell into that. And it literally, this is my 12th season I just completed with Major League Baseball, being in the similar capacity. Like, we are only as good as our community. And if you think about how much a sports team asks from our fans, like, we're asking you to give money, we're asking you to give your time, we're asking you to name your kids after our favorite players. We should be able to give back and support however they need. Like Ayana mentioned, like the Black Lives Matter, that was very important to the Oakland A's during that time. Even during the off season, we're trying to figure out additional ways that we can continue to support those organizations that are doing the work in social justice. And it's great to be able to associate a major brand like the A's, like the Warriors, like the Niners, in making a change in our local community. So that's kind of how I fell into this role.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to start with you, Ayana. How does it feel to work in a male dominated profession? I know.
I had this. I was on a panel recently, and a similar question was asked. I think it's an opportunity. I love proving people wrong, and I think that you can you can take it two ways. Either you can be bogged down about it in your job and be like, oh my god, why are so many men, why are men explaining things to me, or like talking to me as if I don't know, or you take it for me as an opportunity to show why you're in the position that you're in. And I always try to choose the high road, because my mentor coach always tells me, like, when you're good at your job, it doesn't matter who likes you. They're gonna have to work with you because you're that good at your job. And so I always try to just be that good at my job, and produce quality work. And so there's not a question about, my gender. Like, that doesn't come into play. I mean, obviously it does subconsciously, but I really just try to lead with quality work. And I think that that's something that, definitely have thought about a lot in my career. But I also think that, and I always bring up the intersection, I think being a woman in a male dominated industry, but then also, being a Black woman, you know what I mean, in a male dominated, because there's not that many of us. I can probably count on both hands and toes how many Black women are in the front office making decisions in the Warriors. It's not that many of us. But I think that, we all have made it our collective responsibility to make sure that we're not the first or the last. And I think that that's the mindset that many of us come, into the Warriors. And I know, friends that work in other sports teams try to have that same bit of mindset, and not using it as a hindrance, but using it as it is like, I'm here, I want to make sure I'm not the next one here. So let me produce quality work so I can bring other folks along.
Great. Thank you. Will, same question, Hannah?
Yeah, I agree totally with Ayana. I do think that a lot of us are attracted to these environments because we enjoy challenge. We enjoy proving people wrong. I think it also ties back to your question about sisterhood, because I think to survive in environments where you are an only in any way, you do need to sort of like return to the well and replenish, because it can be exhausting. And so that is where you do need those good people in your life who you can depend on for that. Because it can be hard and it can be discouraging. And so you have to figure out, what is it that rebuilds me? What encourages me when I'm down? And that might be, the sport itself. It might be exercise. It might be certain people in your life. But I think that holds true across all different types of challenge that we encounter. And then I totally agree with Anna that I think all of us feel a responsibility when we're in these roles to make sure that when Heavenly or Raven decide that they want to work in sports, that we have done our job to make sure that there are more doors open for them.
Yes. Thank you. And Stephanie?
Yes, Ayana, you actually touched on a point that I share with my department all the time. Like, if people like you, they can sometimes overlook some poor quality work. So if anything, you at least do it with a smile at minimum, but you also want to put out good quality work. Being in the rooms, since I've done it for so long, I'm kind of numb to being in the situation of being the only woman in the room. Like, sometimes I do look around and I'm like, wow, I really am the only woman. And sometimes I'm the only minority in the room, for that matter. The one thing that both of the ladies mentioned was being challenged to be in that role. And one of the things that I was challenged was to find a way to be able to communicate, because obviously men and women both think very differently. And sometimes there is the perception that Black women can be angry, or a woman who is a type A and very assertive could be, excuse my French, bitchy. So how can I be able to convey my point across that they can actually receive it as something like, okay, she actually is making a quality point without necessarily like having an attitude or popping my neck just because someone necessarily disrespected me. Because sometimes they will try you. They'll be like, oh, you can just be quiet. Like, no, I have a point that I like to convey, and here's A, B, and C. And eventually, like they'll get themselves in order once you let them know that you are a woman of integrity and you do know how to articulate your points and opinions, and still be heard. Because sometimes a woman's voice can be overlooked because you're not necessarily like the loudest person that's in the room. So I took a lot of time to work on like my communication and working on love languages. That's one of the things that I tell my staff. I bought them all the love languages series. They have various ones. There's some for teens. So if you don't already have one, I do suggest reading that material. It's just learning to be able to communicate how you like to receive love. And love could be platonic in a work environment, or love as far as like relationships from your family or a significant other. But they have a series on work relationships and how to be able to affirm the people that you work with, whether that be your boss, whether that be your colleague, whether that be like a subordinate. So definitely some reading that I would suggest. It's definitely helped me to be able to connect better with my staff. I have a staff that is both mix of male and female, and they all think very differently. So how can I convey to them what I need done without them bringing up any biases that they may not be aware of?
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. Each of you, those, yeah, some great information for the young ladies. This is one of my favorite questions. I do this question with any adult who steps into any of my classrooms. And I'm going to start with Stephanie. I know you just spoke, but I'm trying to go around.
That's fine.
So this question is, what advice would you give your teenage self? I know that's, I love this question because, it's so important in a sisterhood for women to reach back into the younger sisterhood and take like their life lessons from their teenage years and share some gems. So that's why it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite.
Ooh, there's so many of those. Um, I would say, and it's one that I still work on today, is being okay with making a mistake. To me, when I got into this role as a director, so I've been in the role for almost like 3 years now, I had this unrealistic expectations. Oh, directors don't do this. Directors don't talk like this. Directors know all the answers to all the things. And when I would stumble or not be able to provide insight into whatever topic, I would be so hard on myself. I'm like, I should know these things. Why am I making these type of mistakes? And that's not realistic at all. Like, even I will give you an example of when I made a huge mistake, like thousands of dollars kind of mistake. We had a community report and I wasn't getting much assistance. And so as far as like editing, so I like pushed it through. I was like, I don't have time. Like, I'm sure it's fine. Enough people have laid eyes on it. They won't let me fail. Well, that was incorrect. We printed thousands of copies, came back. My boss opens it and was like, this is spelled wrong. This is incorrect. This is spelled wrong. So here I am, devastated that we spent like $10,000 on a print job that now has to be reprinted because I didn't take the time to do something thoroughly myself because I thought my team had me. I'm like at my desk, I'm crying. It's the end of the world. No, that was a teachable moment, a very expensive teachable moment, but a teachable moment nonetheless, to know that if it's your project, your name is on the line, you need to do a thorough job to make sure everything is in line, that you can answer any questions, that if it all falls back on you, you know you are confident in what you have produced. I could have very well like just fell out the face of the earth, like, oh, I'm gonna quit now because I can't do anything better. I can't get past the situation. And that's not true. It's a teachable moment. Everyone has teachable moments. Take from what you take, that teachable moment, learn from it, and move on. And it's okay. Even like the top VP, top CEO, they all make mistakes. Please believe they all make mistakes. The key is being able to move on from it. And if you don't know the answer, in my case, I hire a team around me with people who have different skill sets. So then that way we all can come together and come up with the answer if I, for whatever reason, do not. So that is my little gem.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move to Hannah. Same question. What advice would you give your teenage self?
Sure. And Stephanie's advice is very good advice that we all have to learn at one point or another. And it's so good to get back up. Mine would come from my personal experience. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I did not deal with that until I was much older than you are, until I was 31. And my advice is whatever traumas you have experienced, whatever you are carrying, to the extent that you can, address it now, that you can ask somebody for help now, that you can even, I'm a huge fan of journaling because it's something that we don't have to talk to somebody else. We don't have to go to an adult if we're not ready. It's free. And whatever you can do to kind of know what is it that I'm carrying that might be weighing me down. What is that thing that is causing me to make the same bad decision over and over again? It will save you so much suffering. Like if I could go back and save that little girl, like middle school, high school, my whole 20s, all the, pain that I inflicted on myself, that's what I would do. And that's what I really wish for every little girl who has experienced any type of trauma in your life. Because I think sometimes we try to bury those things and they come back. Like those things, they don't stay underground. And it's something that serves you not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life is what I've learned, is that it actually makes you a better leader, a better professional once you've dealt with whatever your stuff is. And all of us have different stuff. But that would be my advice to my teenage self.
Yes, thank you so much, Hannah. And Ayana, what advice would you give your teenage self?
Gosh, I was going to say something similar to what Hannah said. So I was thinking of something different. I think I was too quick to grow up. Like I was ready to leave high school. I was ready to be grown. And I think that I would have just like, and people used to say that like, you don't want to grow up, like, enjoy these years. But I really like wish somebody would have just shook me and said like, take this time in, like you all don't have bills right now. Like you don't have responsibilities. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, really take that time in and like focus on, like we talked about before, like building building that sisterhood, building your village, like making good connections with your teachers. The one thing that like I would say I did really good at is like most of all of my high school teachers I still actually speak to. And like, they have helped me in one way or another, like in my life in many different ways, emotionally, socially, professionally. And so I think just like enjoy the moment that you are in now and like don't feel like you have to like grow up tomorrow, because listen, we probably all can tell you, I wish there was bills my parents could still pay. So
I agree with that. Yes, great advice. Um, Great advice. Enjoy your teenage years. Being an adult is kind of overrated because you do have those bills. Um, yeah, so I'm going to start with Hannah with our last question that we have. And it goes in tune with what's going on in the world right now, and um, a little bit of politics, but it's a great thing. So the last question is, how do you feel about having a Black woman as the Vice President of the United States?
I feel great. It's probably the best thing that's happened in 2020. I'm so excited that we have Kamala Harris as our vice president because she is a Black woman, because she is from Oakland, because I think she really cares about America and Americans and is going to do great work for us. And I think she gives all of us a sense of possibility. That any young woman from Oakland, any young woman of color from anywhere in the United States can become the vice president and perhaps eventually the president of the United States. So I think that that's a great thing. I also though want to be careful that we don't forget how much work that we have to do, that all of us have to participate in, because 72 million Americans voted for somebody who pretty much says that he hates every single one of us on this call in one way or another, that he does not think that we matter, that he does not value our lives, our bodies, our opinions, our minds, etc. And so, you know, there's a lot of work to do, but seeing Vice President-elect Harris, I cried watching her give her speech that night of the election, or 5 days later, since it took us a while. But yeah, it makes me joyful.
Great. Thank you so much. Ayana.
I feel the same. I'm overjoyed. I think, especially because I love politics and public service. I think that it's an incredible honor to be able to serve millions of Americans, and I know that that's something that Vice President elect Kamala Harris doesn't take lightly. And I think it just, Alessandra Ocasio Cortez says, it takes 100 of us to try for one of us to make it, and the fact that like she sits on broad shoulders. Shirley Chisholm, really started this journey, in the 70s. And so the fact that it took us to where we are now, it just shows that, we are progressing as a society, but then we still have so much to go that there won't be, so many first. And so I'm excited, especially she's from Oakland. And I think that, for all you young women, like there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing that you can't do. And if you can believe it, then I really believe that you can conceive it. And so just know that she had a dream just like we do, just like you all do, and she made it happen. So let's make it happen.
Yes, thank you so much. And Stephanie, I actually saved you for last because if I'm not mistaken, she's an AKA, right?
Yeah, she's a sewer and she's Jamaican. I'm Jamaican. So we're related. We're together.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yes, the sentiments that the rest of the panel shared, like I'm so hopeful. During the summer was probably the hardest time that I had kind of working in sports. There were days where I would just cry. There were days where I just couldn't work. I couldn't get my mental together. I wasn't focused, like how Doc Rivers said, like it doesn't make any sense as how we can love a country so much and the country not love us back.
Mhm.
I boo-hooed like on a conference call. Like I couldn't even control the amount of emotions that were going through me at that time. So to be able to see Vice President elect walk across the stage and be able to represent who our country is moving forward, it was the moment of a kind of like a sigh of relief, like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. We are going to make progress. Our voice as a woman, as minority women, is now going to be heard on the biggest platform ever. And now, like, truly, the sky is the limit. We went from a Black president to a Black woman vice president. So who's to know like what the future holds? And it makes me excited that my nephew, he's 2 years old, and he gets to see everything like on TV. And though he doesn't really understand, he now sees someone that looked like him, and the last best president. See someone that looks like him. He sees someone that looks like his mother that's now on TV. And so it provides hope for like the next generation. And that's all that I could ever really ask for.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to move to the part of our discussion where we need you, young ladies, to ask questions. And I do want to say that, we do have prizes. Coach Franklin will be doing drawings of prizes for people. And I do want to announce our first two winners of prizes. De'Ara from Westlake and Ranaya from McClymonds. You both won a gift card, I believe, Miss Coach Franklin can let you know what your prize is for being the first registrants. Ooh, clap it up, clap it up.
Any questions, ladies?
Oh, can you announce what their gift is, De'Ara
They're
and Maya?
$25 gift cards.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so I do have one question in the chat from Naomi from McClymans. She said, did they have support to do their careers? So did you have support to do your careers? Thank you, Naomi.
I could start. My support system was definitely my parents. A lot of times in sports, you have to move out to move up. So in my case, I moved from Miami to Dallas, and I went to school at college in Tucson. So they literally moved me across the southern border of the United States, which is no easy feat, and not every family has the resources, but without them, I wouldn't have been able to eventually become the director.
Okay, thank you. We could go to Ayana and then Hannah.
For sure. I think, support shows up at different points in your life differently. And I think like just through every kind of opportunity, whether it was applying to college when I was in high school, like that support that I had, like was so important and, helped me when I got to college, and the advice that I got and the support from college, helped me in my first job. And so I just think about, you know, all those people, and Tyler Perry talks about like people that help you cross, like, all those people in your life that you meet, like help you cross to a different, point in your life are like super important. And I feel so indebted to that level of support because, a lot of people talk about that they're self-made. I really believe no one is self-made. Everyone on earth needs somebody. And I'm just fortunate that I was able to, facilitate those relationships. And that's why I tell you all in middle and high school, build those relationships with your teachers. It's usually for me, it was always the teachers that I didn't like were the most positively impacted me the most, right? Because it was something about them I needed to know about myself, and so I just think about those moments and, just don't let it pass you.
Thank you. Hannah?
Yes, and I'm so excited to see the chat is like blowing up with really good questions.
Yes.
So one person, my godfather, bought me a subscription to Sports Illustrated when I started writing in college. And just that belief and excitement that another person had about sort of the possibilities in my life really inspired me. And to give you a counter example, because one of my favorite questions in the chat right now is somebody who held you back, because we all have haters. And so I think you can really feed off the haters. So I worked for somebody when I was in New York at the league office who was not nice to me. And the big lesson that I had to learn that was hard for me as a pleaser was that some people will never like you, and you got to be okay with that. And once I was able to let that go and be like, oh, no matter what I do, this man is not going to like me. It took such emotional weight off me. It stopped sucking all that energy out. And so that is always my advice for once you discover that somebody isn't gonna like you no matter what you do.
Great, thank you. So Tara Nisha from Montera asks, the chat is going because I was trying to keep her question near. How do you know each other? Or basically, do the three of you know one another? So
I'm like that's why you have these sister to sister events, so you can develop new sister friends.
yes. So okay. And then Shelly from McClymans, her question is, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, are you constantly questioned about your work capabilities?
I think I can start. I think initially, I don't know if it was because of a woman. I always try to be fair of like, I think because I didn't have any sports background when I took the job in the Warriors, I think that people were, because most people come in with these sports marketing, master degrees. They've worked in sports, usually by the Warriors, in terms of the NBA side, like you've worked so hard to be on a team like the Warriors. You've been on 10 teams before. And so I think people were like, who is this? Like, she coming into sports, like, what is her? And then I was also, leading one of the largest, our corporate partner accounts, Kaiser Permanente. So I think that there was some doubt in like, is she actually going to be able to execute? Like, it's a lot of money on the line. And I think that people didn't know. And so I love, like I said before, like I love producing quality work. And so I was just like, in my mind, I never had to be like, oh, I can do this. But I was just like, all right, y'all are going to see, like, once I get my program launched out of nothing, and like I have been a team of one for 10 months, like then you're going to see. And so I think that, I try to be fair of like, I think it was a mix of probably being a woman, also having no kind of sports background and breaking into an industry that is so male dominant. I think all those things together probably made people doubt my ability, but what I can say is they don't doubt it no more.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, we'll go to Stephanie and then Hannah.
Um, I don't know if people necessarily doubted me like in my front office. I think when I'm out, like in the community and like I'm doing, because we're out in the community a lot, like doing whatever events, whether it be food drive or visiting the hospital or just talking to fans in general. And they asked me like, oh, well, what do you do? And I mentioned like, oh, I'm the director of community engagement. They're like, oh, I would have thought you were a cheerleader. Now, I will take it as a compliment that I happen to be attractive. And I take that time to just enlighten them, to be like, just because a woman happens to be beautiful, it does not mean that her work ethic is any less. So I do take that time, kind of like Ayana, just to riddle off all of the great things and all the great work that we are kind of doing in the community. But you might get that from time to time, but don't take offense to it. Take it as a compliment and actually share with them truly what you are working with.
Yes, thank you. And Hannah?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask, oh, are you so-and-so's secretary, or like, whose wife are you? I'm like, nobody's. So I would say that yes, people often like doubt your capability. But I think to what everyone has said, it's really about having the confidence in your own work, and knowing that over time that will prove itself out.
Yes, thank you. So Michaela from Skyline asks, what do you think is your biggest regret? What is your biggest regret?
I
So,
try to look without regret. I don't think that there's a lot of purpose in looking backwards. So I don't know what other people's are.
yeah.
I like to keep it real. Yes, I agree with Hannah. Like I live life and and try to, embrace and take the message out of every moment. And I think, when I was younger, there was some people that I dated that I probably shouldn't have. Like I probably couldn't have wasted my time. So some of y'all in high school, I'm gonna just keep it real. Y'all dating people y'all ain't got no business dating, whether that's a woman or a man or whomever. And just taking the time to like focus on you. You know what I mean? And like, even in college, once you all get to college, I know you're going to get there if that's the journey that you choose to take, just taking the time to be selfish about you, because one day, it's not always going to be about you. And so just taking that time to just, be more grounded.
Yes, thank you. Stephanie?
Oh, I echo all of those sentiments. I don't have any regrets because what is for me is for me. Every trial and tribulation that I went through, there was a blessing at the end of it anyways. So I don't regret my entire career, my entire dating life, like everything was a reason and it shaped me to the woman that I am today. So no regrets.
Okay, great. And Amani Griffin from McClymonds. How was your childhood and did it change your mindset to be who you are now? So whoever'd like to start is fine.
I could start. My parents are immigrants. I'm first generation born in the States. I don't even heard of the stereotype that Jamaicans work 2 or 3 jobs. I was still that child. Like I worked at Chuck E. Cheese because Chuck E. Cheese had a good coin. Let me tell you. I worked at a picnic service company. I worked at a a door servicing company, like in high school and college. I had multiple jobs. Even at one point when I was in Texas, I was working with the Rangers. I had a side job at a restaurant because I wanted to go back to school and I couldn't get any money for it. So I had to find a way. So um, my childhood has always been to value the mighty dollar. And if you want to get something done, you work really hard for it. My parents came here, my mom when she was 12, my dad when they was 18, and from a third world country, and they made a way out of no way. So that was always the work ethic that I've had.
Yes, thank you. Hannah or Ayana?
Yeah, I would just tag on. I mean, I think I touched a little bit earlier on childhood, but also that the mindsets that it gives us are flexible, right? So we get to choose as adults whether what we learned are things that we want to keep using, or whether perhaps we also have learned some coping mechanisms or other things that maybe are not serving us now in the new place that we are, and whether or not we want to develop some new mindsets.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, the only thing I'd add, especially like, growing up in Oakland, especially at the times and now, I mean, I was just on a call with someone from the city of Oakland. The homicide rate in Oakland is 105. That's the highest it's been since 2012. And so I can just only imagine that the trauma many of you all have to live in each and every day, watching the news, are knowing, our folks that have been, shot and killed. And so I don't take that lightly. And I think about, some of the experiences that I had where either, friends of mine were, shot, from being at a party, and or, a lot of my friends in not a lot, but some of my friends in high school had children rather young. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I just think that those are some of the experiences that we face, living in, this, high dense, population like Oakland. Um, and so I think about those times, and I think for me, I was that was the motivation for me to be like, I want to go to UCLA, but then not only go to UCLA, but then I want to come back. And obviously I took a detour because I lived in New York for some time, but I always wanted to come back and make sure that I was a positive role model for folks in Oakland, because outside of my family, like, I didn't see, like, people weren't coming to my high school talking to me about breaking into the sports industry as a woman. Like, that just wasn't, I mean, former players used to come to high school and they used to always talk to the guys. They never talked to like women about this. And so I think that, always wanting to come back and be a positive role model to all youth, but especially youth in Oakland, young women in Oakland, because I know what it's like to, pump the streets of East Oakland. I know what it's like to, walk in West Oakland, and with those experiences that we face on a daily basis. So, hats off to you all for thriving and surviving during these challenging times.
Thank you. Genesis, I'm not sure what school she attends. What inspired you guys to choose the career you are in now? And what steps did you guys use a lot of guys? We're in a sisterhood and you guys are saying guys. So that's why it's so hard for me to read this. What inspired you ladies to choose the career you are in now? And what steps did you take to get there?
I'm going to combine this with Kamaya's question that's next of who inspired us. Because one of the things when we were talking about, Kamala Harris and like, if you can see it, you can be it. I remember seeing Hannah Storm host the halftime show during the NBA playoffs when I was in college, and seeing a female up there, it made me think, oh, well, what is this job that looks like so much fun where you get to talk about sports and just have witty repartee with other people? Like, I want to do that. So I think that's one of the people who inspired me, and things that inspired me in terms of steps, like hustling. It was the step every single step of the way. So like, you vision, where is it that I want to go? I want to be the general counsel of a team. Well, how do I get an internship at a team? How do I get into law school? Where do I need to work to do that? And you lay out and start talking to people. Because one of the other things is, right, how do we utilize a network? And it can feel like, well, I don't know anybody who does that job. So you start going to your teachers and you say, hey, teacher, hey, Coach McGee, I really want to work in sports someday. And here's something I'm interested in. Where should I start? How do I research this? Maybe does Fat know anybody at a local pro team that I could talk to? Is there an event like this? So I would say those are the types of steps that I took.
Yes, thank you. And Ayana or Stephanie, would you like to answer? And I like how you combined the two, because I could only see a few of the questions. So I'm trying to thank you for combining those two?
For me, like what Hannah said, that hustle, that drive, some people aren't built for it, to be very honest. For me to get into the sports industry, I was going to job fairs, and just talking to people at their table and just asking like, hey, like, so what do you do? How did you get into sports? I had zero interest in sales. And 9 times out of 10, when you go to those job fairs, they're looking for sales associates. So I literally just went there and just picked their brain. How can you get me connected to someone that's in community? And one guy was nice enough to say, like, yeah, you can talk to the lady over at the Marlins. I was living at my parents' house, so I would drive 2.5 hours to Miami just to volunteer and drive back. And eventually they got to know my name, they got to know my face. And when the internship seasons came up, they're like, hey, this is a thing. I almost even didn't get the internship, and the internship eventually led to like a full-time role. So to truly get in, and this is like with anything that you want, go in all in. Don't half foot it, because it won't necessarily like pay off. Again, like thinking just from the numbers perspective of how many people want to get into the industry, those people are doing it. Just submitting a resume online isn't cutting it anymore, because we had a requisition open for a social media coordinator. So everyone's like, oh, I can do Twitter, I can do Snapchat, but there was over like 500 applicants. So how are you separating yourself from those applicants? It's either knowing people or going above and beyond and LinkedIn, and trying to find who works there and sharing your resume and your story with them directly. Like that's how you're able to progress in this industry.
Thank you. Ayana, did you want to add anything?
No, I think the ladies pretty much summed it up. I think you find inspiration in people, but you also find inspiration in just different things in life. And I think just being strategic is really important too when you think about your career. Is like I'm a backwards planner, like almost to a fault. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, Ayana, like give yourself some grace. But just like thinking about what you want to do, and like you can't wake up thinking it's going to happen. It's like you actually have to do the work. You have to put in the work. And so thinking about what those backward steps are for you, whatever it is. If you're working on a project right now, it's like it's not going to be completed tomorrow. You have to do a little bit every day to get it to the finish line. That's just like in your career. It's like I'm sure that I don't want to speak for the other ladies, but Hannah and Stephanie, I'm sure they want to do other things in their career, and they're strategically thinking about how they can get to that next level. So no, it never stops. Like I wish I can say you get to a point. I just don't feel like the grind never stops. You get to a point, and there's other things that you want to do in life, and you try to think about how you can make those things happen.
Yes, thank you. Oh, this is a great one. It's a direct message. So it's from Naomi from the Climate. What would you say for the young girls who don't have the support they need? Like, yeah, that's a great question, because not everyone has supports. So, what advice would any of you give?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is at the end of the day, the deepest support that we have is inside of ourselves. And depending on your spiritual beliefs, you may feel like that's, me and my connection to God, or just me digging down deep and like, I'm going to like, I may feel like I'm alone in this, but I'm going to go out and find all those steps. And then secondly, um, I think, and that's again why I'm like super passionate sometimes about journaling, because to me, it's all about like, how do I know myself so that no matter what's happening outside, I have that figured out. And then I think so often in life, like very few people really feel like they have all of the support that they need, and often like it's really unfair. Like as young girls growing up in Oakland, you probably do have less support than you need in a lot of ways. And I think that's when we also have to look to other sources. So like it may not be a parent figure, it may not be a person in our house, but maybe there is either a teacher at school or a coach at school or an administrator at school or somebody in a program like SPAT, where if you're willing to kind of open up and develop that relationship with them and tell them what support you need, because so often also we don't get support that we need because we are afraid to ask for it. I know that's at least very true for me. So I would say when you don't have the support you need, figuring out what it is that you need and then being willing to ask for it. And then also being okay with the fact that somebody might not be able to give it to you. Because I think one of the other places that we can feel hurt and pull back is when we do take that courageous step and we say, this is the support I need. Can you help me with this? And somebody either flakes on us, makes us feel abandoned in some way. And then we go, I don't ever want to ask for help again. That felt horrible. That made me feel like I'm not worth anything. And we have to know that that's a reflection of that person, not a reflection of you or your worth. And so you got to be willing to keep going out there and seeking it again from the right people, of course. But that would be my 2 cents.
Yes, thank you. Ayana or Stephanie, do you have anything to add? She said it. She said it. Okay. All right. Renaya from McClymonds, her question is, did you have someone that held you back? And what was the hardest thing you had to accomplish to get where you are today? So did anyone ever hold you back?
I'll go. So you know how there's the whole notion of a Karen, and they Karen you, and there's all these videos of them trolling. So I actually had a boss at one of my teams whose actual name was Karen, and she treated me she treated me like I was less than all the time. She may not have realized that she was doing it. She may have had the implicit bias from her childhood or whatever. But my work was always superb. I was always trying to find ways to be innovative, creative, dynamic. And no matter what my work quality was being brought forth, it's kind of like how Hannah said with her boss didn't like her. She just didn't like me, would give me horrible reviews. When I asked for guidance on moving on to the next step of my career, I was told that that's not ever going to be a possibility. When I was told I want to go back to school, can I like flex my hours a little bit? I was told no. So every direction I would go, like she definitely wasn't helpful. But instead of internalizing it and becoming resentful and mad at her, I just basically found my way around her. So I found a way to take an online program so I didn't have to necessarily miss work. I found a way, I got a second job so that way I can afford to take that online program. I continued to build relationships with her boss, with other people on the leadership team. So they also understood like, wow, her work quality is great. And so regardless of what she may have thought about me, I still had the reputation of being a good person and providing quality work. I eventually did have to leave that team because I did want to be able to move up, but I didn't allow her disdain for me personally to affect the product of work that I wanted to put forth. Like I still wanted to let everyone know, like, no, while I'm here, I am committed to making sure this team is great in all aspects, and she's just over there.
Thank you. Hannah or Ayana, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll add something. I had an unfortunate situation with a past supervisor a while ago, and I remember coming home so frustrated, calling my mom, crying about this situation. And my mom, like, is one of my best friends, and she reminded me of my greatness. And I think we need people, whether it's your mom, your friend, just to remind you of who you are, you know, and what you, in your unique gifts, and what you bring to this world. And I think I needed that check, and it came in the form of my mom to remind me of who I was. And I think that, you know, sometimes in life, people don't like you because you're just better than them. It is what it is. You might be better than your job than them, and people are intimidated by greatness. And that former supervisor, I think she was intimidated by greatness. And it was like, I don't want your job. I like mine. And I think that, you know, it's crazy how my mom was like, don't worry about her. The universe is going to take care of her. You just keep being the person that you are, produce good quality work, be kind to people, be graceful to people, and you'll be fine. And my former supervisor was then laid off that year from the job, and praise be, I still had my job. And I just found out went to another job and was recently laid off. So the universe has its own way of handling that person. I think it's just about operating in your purpose, operating in your passion, and knowing that, you come with unique talents and gifts that no one ever can take that away.
Mhm.
That was so perfect. So I am just amen to everything that Ayana just said. I know I basically told my story to that one, so I'm just going to tag it to the related question that Kiana asked right after of, did anyone ever tell you no, like you can't be what you are now? And I think to get back to that question of support, like I love that Ayana's mom told her, like, don't let that get in your spirit because this is who you are. That's not always going to happen from those people closest to you. I love my mom and my sister. However, they do fall in the category of people who said I can't be what I am now. I remember when I interviewed to work at the 49ers, they were like, that is so nice. Don't get your hopes up because you're never going to get that job. And so I want you to all protect your spirit, because there are going to be people who think they're doing what's best for you, people who may be close to you, who say you can't be what it is that you want to become. So many people told me that I couldn't have the job that I have now. But I still have it. And here I am talking to you. So like whatever people are telling you can't do, I don't want you to let that get in your spirit, because you can't do it.
Yes, thank you. So Hannah kind of touched on Kiana from Oakland Tech's question. Did so? Did you ever? Oh, I'm gonna just reword it. Have you ever been told no? Um, like someone told you you can't be what you are now. So did Ayana or Stephanie want to add? Hannah gave a great example of her mom and sister. Do you all have something to share?
The thing about me is I think I keep my, and I'm learning to be more vulnerable and share with people. But sometimes if I have a dream, if I have something I work on, I have to keep it close to the chest, like very, very, very close to the chest, because I can't take in too many outside opinions about stuff. So I think for me, it's like I keep it so close to the chest. You'll find out after I get the job or I don't get the job or after the opportunity, because it's like I just need to be focused, because that works for me. Everyone operates differently. And so I would say, I'm sure there's many people they didn't know that I was applying for the job at the Warriors, or they had approached me for the job opportunity. So I couldn't hear outside voices because nowhere knew but my mom. So I think it's like you learn to have discernment. You learn what's meant to share with people and what's not, because sometimes it's like, people will block your blessings because they can't conceive what you're dreaming up. And it's nothing about you. It's everything to say about them. You know what I mean? Because maybe they wish they could have done things in their life differently to be at a different point in their life. And so I try not to take it personal. I really try to give people as much grace as possible in their life, because I feel like that, people have so many different perspectives, and I can't be mad at I can't be mad or harbor bad energy. You know what I mean? My mom used to always say, you can't eat rat poison and expect for the next person to die. Like, you have to operate in your own passion, you have to operate in your own truth. And you find people that are like-minded, that you want to share your dreams and aspirations with, and the other people that you just want to really share victories with. You know what I mean? You just find those people in your life. And I try not to take life so personal. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned, in the last year, is everything's not personal, and I can't personalize everything because I hurt myself when I do. You know what I mean? I just have to stay true to Ayana, and I have to deal with things I can control, and the stuff I can't control. It's like for me, I give it to God.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Stephanie, did you want to add or?
I can't think of any personal instances where someone told me no, I couldn't do anything. I'm thankful that the people that I do open up to are very positive. I think the only note I would probably just add to the notes that the lady shared was like, it's okay to affirm yourself. Even if someone tells you no, you can say, I'm awesome anyways. I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm still great. I think it's something you should do daily. Daily. One of the things that my therapist has me work on is every morning when I'm brushing my teeth, I say affirmations to myself. You are smart. You make great decisions. You are an awesome boss. You are a great listener. You are an awesome friend. And that's the best way to start my day, just affirming myself. So then when you are hit with like negative those who may not know any better, or those who may have ill intentions toward you, you have that bank of affirmations inside that can get you through the day.
Yes, that is some great advice there, with the affirmations. Yes. So let's see. So Genesis asks, did you play sports in college? Any of you play sports in college? No? Okay, so no. Brianna from Oakland High, what internships did you take to prepare you for your career, if any? Um,
I can start. I was always, majored in political science at UCLA. So I always wanted to work in public service. And so my first internship, I interned for Mayor Kwan, the former mayor of Oakland. And so I led some of her community engagement efforts. And that taught me a lot. Like working alongside a politician was actually really helpful just to learn their daily in and outs, what they did, how they operated, how they talked to their constituents about issues that they were hearing, and how they actually implemented change. And I realized that in public service and in local government, change happens very slow. And then I also, because violence prevention was something that was really important to me, especially like to my earlier point, like, the homicide rates, especially when I was growing up, were just staggering. And so then I started working for Oakland Unite, and I was one of their first interns when they started their office, and really helped, our nonprofit grantees at the time come up with positive messages around violence prevention to share with the community. And so I worked there for one summer. And then when I graduated with my master's degree and moved back to the Bay Area, my supervisor at the time, who became head of the Department of Human Services for Oakland, is the one that called me and was like, hey, Libby's the new mayor. She has this, she's starting this new work. I told her, like, education work, you should start working for her. And like, that's how I landed the job with, Oakland Mayor Schaaf, was, because I had interned and did a fellowship with the city of Oakland prior. And so, like I said, like, bridges you always have to cross at some point of another. And so I think it's really, really important. I can't stress this enough. It's like, do not burn a bridge. Even if you don't like someone, kill them with your kindness. You know what I mean? They'll remember that more than their disdain for you. And so I think, the internships were important because I realized what I wanted to do and what I also didn't want to do. So.
yes, thank you. Hannah or Stephanie, do you want to add?
Sure. I did internships at the Oakland Raiders, at Dance Magazine when it was based in Oakland, at the NFL Players Association. One of the things that was problematic historically about internships in sports is they were often unpaid, which made it impossible for people who don't have significant family financial support to do them. I think one of the things that's good is we're really trying to move away from that, especially in California. So most of them are paid now. So it's definitely worth looking into if that's something you're interested in. And I know none of us played college sports. I actually also did not play sports in middle school or high school, though I did dance. But for all of you who are playing sports, 94% of women in the C-suite, so CEOs, COOs, et cetera, played sports at some point in their life. So it's a great background that you guys are preparing yourself for.
Thank you.
I mentioned the internship that I got with the Marlins. So I interned in one department, kind of like Hannah mentioned. Ours was paid, but it was like an $800 a month stipend. So no, you can't live in Miami off of $800 a month. You can't live in most cities of $800 a month. So it was definitely a challenge, but I was able to live with family to make it work. But after that internship ended, I moved on to a different department. I moved over to marketing. And then when that internship ended, there was no job. And so a lot of times feel like internships with various agencies, there's a job at the end of the process. And sometimes it's not. And it's not to say that your work isn't awesome. A lot of times it's just timing and budgets. If the team isn't ready to add on at that time, they're unfortunately unable to provide something for you. I had an intern last season who at the end she wanted a job, and I'm like, I'll be very realistic with you, like, we won't have anything. Like, I already know, like, we're at our cap, but if you find something else, let me know and I'll plug you. And sure enough, she found something with the Giants. contract, and then eventually became full-time. So for my story, my internship was coming to an end, and I ended up getting a more formal internship with the Braves. So I was supposed to leave. I had packed up all of my stuff, and then the Marlins ended up calling me very last minute and were like, "No, we decided to create a position for you." That doesn't always happen, but I always tell my interns, like, "Listen, just because you didn't get one here doesn't mean that you won't get one anywhere else. Now that we know you, we'll plug you along." Like, even now, if an intern reached out to me that I worked with, I'm happy to pass on their resume because I know your worth ethic. That also being said, if you are not a good intern, you won't you won't be able to get your resume necessarily passed along. And it's very small world. Like, though I may not know these ladies directly, I know people that work at their organizations, especially there's several minorities in sports groups, whether Black Sports Professional or MIS, and they all talk to each other. So how Ayana mentioned, like, not burning bridges, super, super important.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Shelly from McClymonds question is, have you ever had to deal with harassment from male coworkers? And if so, how did you cope or deal with it?
I'll let legal counsel take that one.
I'll go first. Yeah, the answer is yes. There's different kinds of harassment. People can be harassing you because you're a woman in a way that may not be sexual, and then they can also be harassing you in a way that is sexual. And I've had both. And I will tell you that it actually reminds me in terms of like how to make choices about how the next steps that we take. It actually reminds me of something that happened in middle school. So my friend Donna Embers, she was walking home from school, and two boys, and I'm not bad mouthing Westlake, but they're from Westlake, came up to her, started slapping her butt, calling her names, all these things. And she got home to her mom in her apartment near there, and told her mom what happened. And her mom, who I love, said, "You stay here and call the police. I'll be back." And her mom grabbed a baseball bat and left. The next day we were at school and we walked over to the liquor store, which is not there anymore. And in shuffle the two boys looking at the floor, and they're like, "I'm sorry." And they walk out. So I can't tell you exactly what Don Ember's mother did with that baseball bat. However, how it ties back to when we're harassed, right? She decided to go both paths. The path that you are supposed to take, which is sort of following the rules, telling the people who are supposed to know, and also the secondary path, which is the path of dealing with it myself. I'm going to address you and handle it with you. And so I will say it is difficult to navigate exactly how to make those decisions. In every situation, you're going to have to make a choice for yourself based on what's going on. Those are really tough situations. And there are times, again, when you may rely on your sisterhood of, here's what's going on in my workplace. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it. It may be something that's very subtle. And those are the hardest ones sometimes to deal with. I have never brought a baseball bat to work, but I have walked into somebody's office and said, like, "Keep my name out your mouth," like, and just walked out. Because sometimes you just need to address people. Some people just need to be addressed and handled directly, and that can stop the behavior. I'm also somebody who often uses humor to deal with it. And again, tying back to middle school, I'll never forget our social studies teacher said, if somebody ever tries to put their hand on you on the bus, you just grab the hand and lift it up and say, "Did somebody lose this hand? I just found it on my leg." And so, there are ways to kind of, again, like sort of put people on blast without putting them on blast, because sometimes that really lets them know, like, if they do something again, it's going to have more severe consequences. But I also don't want you to be afraid to simply report it to your supervisor, because that's also important, right? You can report it to your supervisor. If you don't want to tell them, you can report it to HR, and they'll have to investigate it. And if the place doesn't handle it appropriately, then you can sue them. So that's my legal and non-legal answer for you.
Thank you. Great information. So I know we have a few more questions in the chat, but I do want to honor time. And what we could do is I could save these messages and send them to our panelists, and then we could get those answers to you. because we do want to honor their time, and we have like 5 more minutes. Um, and so I'm going to pass it over to Coach Franklin, who's going to be handling the raffles that we have. So, Coach Franklin, if you could add the names of the young ladies that are in the chat that we didn't get to, and I'm passing it over to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great questions, ladies. Great questions.
Thank you, Miss McGee. So I want to say thank you to all three of you, wonderful, wonderful women who showed up. We plan on doing this again. The questions will be different. So I hope you're open and willing to come back with us. And I want to allow you ladies to leave because we've used up your time. But I know we have a book that we're raffling off. So the lady who is raffling off the book, I need you to give me a number between 1 and 40.
23.
23. Our wonderful winner is Kamaya. So you get a signed autograph book from Hannah, and we'll make sure you get it. So don't worry about it. We'll get it to you. We'll hook up with Hannah and get that book to you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Anaya. Thank you. I said your name wrong. Don't look at me like that. I know. You looked at me like, sorry, Miss Moody. Sorry, because you gave me the sister look. I got it. My bad. It's okay. Hey, I got it. My first name is Ideal, so I get it all the time. Don't even worry. So I'm clear. We good. We sisters. And on that note, I do apologize. That's what we do. We make a mistake, and we apologize to our sisters because that's what we're supposed to do. So I do appreciate all three of you ladies for being here. This was great. I can't wait till we do this again. And hopefully we'll bring you back. But I'm going to allow you three to go ahead and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And we'll do this raffle for the ladies. Ladies, you can unmute and tell the ladies thank you and goodbye if you'd like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Ladies, I went ahead and put my email in the chat. If you want to email me directly, you are more than welcome to. I will make time.
Thank you.
And then I want to say real quick, ladies, don't leave because we have to do the raffle. I see a few people.
Yeah, don't leave because you got to be here. You want to win.
You have to be present to win.
All right.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
And Hannah, see you soon.
All right. With that being said, shake them up, shake them up, shake them up, shake them. So we have 8 $25 gift cards that will be given out. And we have 2 Spat sweatshirts that will be given out. So I have enough in here that I'm pretty sure that somebody would be walking away with something. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all trust me? Y'all trust me? Y'all believe in me? Okay, here we go. Here we go. First winner is Brianna J.
Hey, this is her mom. She had her college track program.
I already know. I got this, Charlene.
Okay, Miss Franklin. Okay, Coach.
Hey, Charlene.
Hey.
Our next one is. Here we go. Who is it? Kamaya. All right. Here we go. Miss McGee, I'll be shaking all day, so you got to keep it with how many I'm shaking.
Okay, well, you good.
Okay. Next one is Naomi.
Woo, Naomi. Congratulations.
All right. Here we go. Next one is Kiana C.
Woo, Kiana.
All right. Here we go. Okay, I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm going to spell the name. I do a good job of butchering names, so I'm going to just spell this. Azariya. Last name initial is S.
Yeah,
How you say it, baby?
it's Azaria.
There you go, boo. Azaria.
Hey.
Yeah, y'all can see I'm a clown. Sorry. All right. Next young lady is Shelly C.
Shelly C. Woo.
Okay, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 more gift cards, and okay, this is for a sweatshirt.
Uh-oh.
Genesis.
Woo.
So that's our sweatshirt. Okay, 1 more gift card. Well, 2 more gift cards. Hey. Gotta make it fair. Gotta try to make it fair. Lauren M.
Lauren M.
Gift card winner. Here's for another sweatshirt. I think we on number 9. This is number 9, right, Miss McGee?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's see who we got. Michaela H.
Michaela H from Skyline. Okay.
So that's a sweatshirt. And then the last for the gift card. Kamaya again. All right. So that was fun. We're going to do this again, ladies.
Yeah.
We need you guys to put in the chat or unmute yourselves. What would be topics that you guys would like to discuss our next time? What would be some interesting topics that you guys would like us to get panelists for, that you want to really, really discuss?
Ownership.
Ownership.
Okay.
Anybody else? What was that? What did you say, Naomi? Colleges.
Yes.
Anything else, ladies, that you guys would like to discuss? Making investments. Anything else? So keep your eyes open in your emails, because we'll be sending you like a thank you letter, and that will let you know what our next steps will be, that we'll be trying to plan, that we'll be trying to develop. So please make sure you look for an email from myself. It'll say ideal@spat.org, or from Miss McGee.
Rolanda at SPAT. And then Harold. I know I see people leaving, but one thing I want to say real quick before everyone leaves, another thing that we're going to do for everybody for our next forum, we're going to make sure we have t-shirts with Sister2Sister for you guys. We're going to have our logo on, so everybody's a winner. We're going to make sure that happens. So thank you all very much.
Oh, wait a minute. A lot of you guys have OUSD emails, so we might not be able to send it from our SPAT. So it might come from our OUSD emails.
Yes.
So just, we'll say, hey, we're from SPAT. We'll let you guys know where we're from when you open the email. So you'll know, okay, let me read into this. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments for us? Anything?
I think this was fantastic.
Thank you. We're glad you guys were able to come. We're glad we had so many young ladies come out. I really enjoyed this. You all are welcome.
I didn't win anything.
No.
Sorry, Coach D. Sorry. Me either.
I didn't win anything.
Hey, I didn't win nothing either.
You were the host, though.
Yeah,
this was
the
really
host doesn't win. I'll say this: I won because everyone showed up.
That's it.
It was, your dialogue was great in the chat. I couldn't even keep up with the chat. I was like trying to keep up with it, and it was still coming. But we're definitely going to get your questions answered and something sent to you in your OUSD email. So be looking out for that. Give us like a week, and we'll make sure we get all your questions answered. Yeah. And thank all of you for hanging in there. Good to see familiar faces I haven't seen in a minute, like Charlene, was on. It was good to hear her voice. I miss my people. Hey, cousin Raven.
I miss my girls too.
Yeah, it's
A
something.
lot. A lot. So
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, but we're hanging in there, so best we can.
Shelly,
Hey,
Hey,
Rolanda or Coach Franklin,
Yes, ma'am.
since a lot of these girls want to be something, in touch with some type of sports, I don't know if we can work with Frankie and Lamont in my office with the OAL to see if we can do internships. If
oh, that would be wonderful.
because I
See, you
know,
were here for a reason.
well, because Brianna worked the event with us and she's into sports event planning. So
Yeah.
we can figure out what kind of internships the girls might want. We can try to put them in touch when we go back to school.
Oh, great. Great. That would be awesome. And I know from our panelists, I'm sure some opportunities will come up from them also. Like just knowing who they are, I know some opportunities would definitely come up. So, yes, this was great. And it's good to see people from the OAL, like just,
Yes.
we haven't seen each other all year.
I know.
You
Yep.
know,
Hopefully we're having a sports season.
oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I know middle school is kind of iffy, even high school. So we're still,
yeah,
hopefully there's something. We'll find
yeah.
out something in a couple of weeks.
Well, what we've been doing, like with our cheer, like we're preparing for a virtual spirit week. The last
Okay.
week, like we're planning for stuff. Like we're gonna, have something. But if not, we'll keep doing our virtual thing and make the best of it, so that people like Shelly could have a great senior year. My student leaders and awesome cheerleaders.
Shelly deserves it.
Yeah. Look at her. She's always fired up. Yeah.
I was actually just sitting over here doing cheers.
That's you. Mm-hmm.
A lot of cheers online right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cheerleaders check in. Hey y'all.
I love her spirit.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She has spirit.
Your spirit is the bomb.
Imaya too. Who else on here? All my Mac cheerleaders. I know all you guys got spirit.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let me do it too. Where's my Montera and
There
my
we
other
go.
cheerleaders?
Yes.
Check in.
Yeah.
Skyline, check in.
Yeah, I was about to scroll over the names because I can't see. I was gonna say who we got. We got OT in the house. I see you, OT. I see you. Who else?
I think it's hard,
We got Wesley.
Coach McGee. I think it's hard for us because of this year we had such a transition going into high school, and they were going to cheer, and then this happened. But they're still considered cheerleaders.
Yeah. It's tough. We didn't know what to expect. I just had in my brain, and Shelly like helped push it. Being who she is, wanting to move forward and do this thing, and we just move forward. It's tough at times. It's been tough like most recently, but for the most part, the young ladies have been committed to making the best of it, and I appreciate that. because we don't know what's going to happen, but we'll be ready for whatever happens.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see who else we have. We have Westlake. I see you, De'Ara. Where you at, Dee Dee?
You know her. She's probably like, oh, can she stop?
That's my little cousin. So she's gonna probably say something to me about putting her out.
Yes, she is. You already know.
Yeah, I already know. So yeah.
And Naomi, the only reason I knew how to say your name is because my cousin's name is spelled the same way. That was the only way, because I would mess that up too. I'm good at messing up names. I am good at messing up everybody's name. So yeah, y'all lucky if I got anybody's name right.
Yeah, I'm usually good with names. Because people pronounce I'm Relonda, and everybody, even if they grew up with me, call me Riri, but then they'll call me Rolanda or Yolanda. So I've made it a point in life never to mess up people's name. Like,
Everybody messes up my name. My first name is Ideal. They
Yeah.
call me everything but Ideal. So hey, I've learned to laugh it off.
Yeah.
And I just keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you all. We'll see you, Mac Cheer. I'll see you tomorrow. And everyone else, I'll see you at our next event.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great. And thank you guys for just hanging out. You know, it's good to see everybody. Like, it really is. So, especially you, Charlene. I haven't seen you. Hey.
Hey, I know I saw Brian at the golf tournament.
Oh yeah, and then I told him I should have just came to watch, but we had just got back in town. Like we got back that night before, and I was like, I am not getting up.
It was fun, huh, Coach?
Oh, we had a ball.
We did.
We had a ball.
He keeps, he rubs it in like how much fun that was. So
it was, yeah. So I mean, Lamont's planning on one if everything is okay for
the spring.
The spring.
Yeah,
I'll
June or
definitely
something.
be there.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be at that one.
Okay.
Anyone close to my name would be Naomi. There's a vaccine. Yeah, I heard there's a vaccine coming soon too. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Money.
What a cute picture. I like that.
All right, you guys have a great evening.
You do
Got
the
another
same.
meeting to go to.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Amani Griffin. Where'd she go? She walked away.
She's still there.
Yeah.
There she goes.
Did you go to BYU first?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. You're with me, so it, I was there at first, but I had to leave. So, yeah. Yep. Imaya, welcome back.
Thank you.
You know, we need your spirit. We're getting ready for this virtual spirit week.
Oh, I'm here. I'm ready to
know
turn.
what they discussed because I was in another meeting yesterday, but they have some plan. So we'll see.
I'm ready to bring the beautiful beast back.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Bring that beast back because I'm
Bring
like,
it on.
where did she go? Okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Let's see who's all left. Amani, Kamaya. Is Kamaya one of your babies?
No, Kamaya, where are you from, baby?
I went to Montero last year, but I'm at Tech now.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you look young. I thought you were middle school.
I did as well.
I really thought you were middle school. I really did. That's good though, because when you get older, and you look young, then you're gonna look young for the rest of your life. That's great.
Good.
So, do you play basketball or cheer?
Basketball and football.
Okay, so Dream is your coach. Coach Dream is one of your coaches.
I don't know. I haven't met any of the coaches yet.
Oh, you haven't met the coaches yet? Oh, okay. Yeah, she's one of the coaches, you know, championships. I could say championship coaches, state champions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were.
we
That they were.
we celebrate. I know we're from different schools, but we celebrate OAL. That's
We
what
celebrate them all.
because I know we compete like in games, but when it's all said and done, we represent OAL in these championships. So
We will want to.
looking out for you. Whenever we open up season, we'll be looking out for you. So don't be thinking it's random. I be Kamaya, hey girl, go girl. And you looking like,
Who is she?
we like this Coach McGee from the Sister to Sister.
Yeah, I'm remembered.
Okay.
Okay. It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting y'all too.
All right. Well, we're gonna get off of the Zoom because we've actually been on since 2:30.
No.
Okay.
And it looks like Coach Franklin is still at work and the custodian about to kick her out. Dear, are you gonna just ignore me, girl?
Hi.
Hey, cousin.
Hey.
How you doing 4.0?
Good.
That
Good.
part.
So you gonna be getting your gift card too. For being one of the first registered people. So yeah, this was great. Um, all right, well, Ideal, I'm gonna shut us down.
Okie dokie.
I'll
And I believe that because he recorded this, everything
yeah,
that was in the
you know
chat gets
what?
recorded too, right?
Yeah, it is, and I saved it. But for some reason, I accidentally at the beginning, I looked and it wasn't recording like at the beginning. I don't know what I did when I was fumbling with stuff. I don't know what I
Oh,
did. And then I think like the introduction part, I think wasn't taped. But then when I realized I didn't see recording, then I hit it back. So I don't know what I did. Shit, no telling what I did.
but I mean, as long as
We
we
got
got
the
the
majority of the discussion.
yeah, and then as long as we got the chat, because the
Oh yeah,
chat.
no, I have the chat like right here. I didn't saved it and opened it up in a folder.
Okay.
So I can make sure that I go through and get those questions that weren't answered and send them
Okay.
to the panelists, and then
Okay.
have them answer and send back to me, so I could send them out. And what
Okay.
I'll probably do is just send them out to everyone who was on.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that
once we send that last letter, whatever to them.
we could send that too. So yeah. Because I want to make sure those questions, because they kept coming. I was like, oh, this one.
Yes. It was great when you said that, the question just started. I was like, wait a minute. I had 7 at the. I was like, Lord, wait a minute.
I was like, wait a minute, I couldn't even keep up. And then I was
and then it started coming, and then the other one got pushed to the top. I was like, oh.
yeah, I like was pausing with my hand, holding it where it wouldn't go up on me, because I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
but we made it through. So
that's good. It was a success.
it was. I say this was a success. So we have a good check-in tomorrow to report.
Yes, we do.
And stuff. So Dee Dee, what you doing? I mean, oh, she just left. I was gonna ask her what her mama cooked for dinner.
Yeah, she gone.